I guess first we want to just do a quick little check. Can I get some reactions, whether it's via a smiley face or a thumbs up, that everybody can hear us okay before we begin? Yep, it's all looking good. Excellent. That's great to hear. So welcome to our first session today as part of our Research in Schools series. Today, the first session is going to be on guided inquiry in primary maths, and we're welcoming Dr. Kim Fry and Georgina Allardice and Judith Hillman for that session. Now, Kim has actually done a pre-recorded message, so we'll be sharing that as part of her presentation. But before we begin, we'd like to welcome everybody with a pre-recorded message from our DDG. So if you just bear with me while I share, and hopefully just hang on, I'm just not sure that had sound. Did that have sound, Charlotte? Yeah, okay, so let's just, apologies everybody, the usual story. Let's see if we can make it work better this time.
Good morning, my name is Kathleen Forrester. I'm the Deputy Director General of the Policy, Performance, International and Intergovernmental Division in the Department of Education. I'd like to welcome you to the Research in Schools Sharing Your Insights webinar series. I'm going to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands that we all live and work on. I'm in Meanjin, on the lands of the Turrbal and the Yuggera people, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who will be joining the webinar today. Thank you for joining us today to learn about 6 insightful research projects conducted within Queensland schools, all with a shared aim to improve student outcomes, albeit in different ways. These projects highlight the collaborative partnerships being developed between Queensland researchers and schools throughout Queensland for the benefit of teaching staff and students, while also increasing our state's research capacity. These projects demonstrate the close relationship between Queensland's academic community and the department, involving our schools, our students and our staff. The team has put a spotlight on a variety of research topics for today's webinar. These projects include guided inquiry in maths, the science of learning, teaching action research, French teaching from a Pacific Island perspective, school transitions for refugee and asylum seeker students, and a health and hygiene education in remote communities. The findings of these projects also support the achievement of the department's strategy, Equity and Excellence, realising the potential of every student, including the strategy's 3 main pillars: educational achievement, wellbeing and engagement, and culture and inclusion. While education systems across Australia face many of the same pressing issues, we know that Queensland has a unique geographic and demographic profile. So it's very encouraging to see research happening in Queensland schools, generating Queensland-specific outputs that can be readily accessed by our teachers. What is unique about today is that for the first time, you'll hear about these projects from the lead researcher and from the school staff who are supporting the project. The presentations will provide you with a different perspective on research in schools, as well as an opportunity to ask questions of both the researcher and the school staff. We know that educational research in schools is crucial as it provides evidence-based insights that guide decisions about curriculum design, teaching strategies and policy making. It can help identify best practice, address learning challenges and ensure that all of our students are receiving a high-quality education. Ultimately, educational research supports the continuous improvement of schools, making them more responsive to the needs of students and preparing them for future success. Thank you to our guest speakers for taking the time to share their experiences today, and to the team in Research Services led by Dr. Catherine McTavish for their efforts in making sure research in our schools and our system is world-class. I hope you enjoy the sessions and join us again for future research-based webinars and face-to-face forums.
Excellent. So thanks so much to Kathleen for sharing that pre-recorded message with us. So now, with no further ado, I'd like to hand over to Georgina to begin her presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well at this busy time of term. Thanks for joining us. I'm very excited to share our journey and ongoing collaboration with researchers and universities that have impacted our school and our students and teachers. So I'm going to give a little bit of a brief overview, and then Dr. Fry will have a pre-recorded presentation from her, and then Judith Hillman here, one of our wonderful teachers, will wrap up with her thoughts and perspectives. So I will share my screen with you. One moment. So if you can just give me a thumbs up if you can see. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to go through a few of my perspectives in terms of the motivations for our participation in the research. So one of our main motivations was increase in student engagement and ensuring that students had that opportunity for critical and creative thinking capabilities to be developed within students. So we used, I guess, a scan and assess model. We've been privileged to work with Griffith University in the past and have had great success with that collaboration. The motivation was not only to enrich student learning, but also to have teacher expertise developed through guided inquiry. And by building teacher capacity, it allowed us for a more sustainable approach to mathematical inquiry across the whole school. So the other motivation was to align to Australian curriculum, particularly the STEM subjects, and ensuring that we had a focus and consistent approach to that for all. So working with the researchers has helped us identify, our teachers identify, there's gaps in student knowledge and understanding, and also, therefore, it's helped inform our planning processes and pedagogical approach overall, not just in STEM subjects, but across the school. So in terms of building teacher capability and how that's helped our school community, it's definitely the wonderful Judith here has been one of our key staff in this particular project and across a number of other projects that we've done. And so that having a lead teacher linking with the researchers has been critical for the success of the project. We definitely have seen increased student engagement, and that has been echoed in our school opinion survey results and our student wellbeing engagement survey results. And consequently, it has led to improved academic outcomes in our A to E data and NAPLAN data. So there's also the things that aren't as tangible. So there's that definite buzz and love of learning and energy in the classrooms when we have employed our research and approach to guided inquiry. So it's about empowering teachers as leaders. So that's Jude, has become a leader in this space, and therefore that ripple effect. So so as I said, some of the findings or outputs have been enhanced critical and creative thinking skills. Definitely a renewed focus and resourcing has gone alongside that. So lesson plans, making sure we've got activities that are relevant, and working with the researchers has really helped us because of their expertise and level of knowledge that we don't necessarily have, given that we're working across so many different aspects of learning. So having that nice micro-focus has really helped the school too, and consequently increase teacher confidence. So some of the challenges are, as always, in education, time to collaborate, time to meet and resource, and then that initial adaptation period. So that can be always a challenge in any change, piece. In terms of future directions, we are expanding that capability across STEM in general and into other subject areas, strengthening our partnerships with Griffith and other universities. So it's something that in our school review last year is highlighted as a real positive, and it definitely has that ripple effect across the school in so many aspects. So we will continue to strengthen those partnerships, to incorporate and embed those, and use a scan and assess model really to ensure that effectiveness of the relationship and the time investment continues. So there's some of the aspects from a principal's perspective. And now I believe you are going to listen to Dr. Fry. So Dr. Kim Fry is our wonderful colleague that we've been working with at Griffith. And I believe now I will stop sharing my screen and you will listen to her pre-recorded presentation.
Thanks, Georgina. So I'm just going to share Kim's video, and I'm going to do the thing that I told everybody to do, which was turn on the sound. So here it is.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kim Fry from Griffith University. I'd like to apologise for not being able to join you today, either in person or in real time, but I know that you've got my wonderful colleagues there, Judith, Hillman and Georgina Allardice, who will be available to answer any questions and really are the experts in this research project. First, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which this research was conducted, and that's Yugara and Turrbal people country. And I'd like to pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that to all Aboriginal peoples and Torres Strait Islander peoples. And really privileged to be part of this online research forum, Research in Schools, sharing our insights on research conducted in a Queensland state school that involves a collaborative partnership, now not only between researchers and schools, but also with our STEM professional partner. I'll talk about in just a moment. My study is supporting mathematical learning innovation through guided inquiry pedagogy across primary STEM. And this research builds on my previous postdoctoral research conducted in my classroom, which explored using mathematical modelling to support mathematical learning innovation. And so we're guided by the mathematical modelling process as described in the Australian Curriculum version 9, and we have new content descriptors advising which context in which to do mathematical modelling. But we felt that we weren't really quite sure what mathematical modelling really was going to look like in a primary classroom, so that was of interest to us. Already I know Judith is an expert on guided mathematical inquiry, and a lot of my research has looked at this pedagogical approach. So we used the culture, classroom culture, supported through mathematical guided inquiry to scaffold that mathematical modelling process as well. And what that meant was that students were working on problems that were authentic or meaningful. They were open-ended problems, so they were able to use creative solutions, and it stepped them through the problem-solving process to support mathematical modelling. So I mentioned our STEM professional, and of course, Jude and I are both teachers, classroom teachers first and foremost, and then researchers, but we certainly didn't have that STEM professional knowledge. And so our STEM partner, Dr. Peter Stone, was part of the STEM Professionals in Schools program, and like a critical friend, he worked with us on agricultural science, meteorological science and ecological modelling to really look for opportunities where we could explore modelling in the primary classroom through an inquiry process. So motivations for this research, and I've already mentioned the new mathematical process of modelling in the Australian Curriculum version 9.0, And we were really interested in finding out what mathematical modelling looks like in a primary classroom. But of course, we also have these wicked problems that our students of the future are going to be facing. And STEM education has become a strong agenda across the world. In 2016, Akara produced the STEM Connections project report, describing STEM education as a national priority, linked with Australia's productivity and economic well-being, also central to a well-rounded education that can contribute to a diverse and capable STEM workforce. We're also aware that, maths is not always the favourite subject in the classroom, and this shouldn't be the case. So we were hoping to engage our students in some mathematical thinking. And also, although it's not the most loved subject, it's also well documented that overall levels of student achievement in Australia have generally been in decline. So learning innovation was a priority for us. We want our students to be future problem solvers, and we think an inquiry approach that combines STEM can foster creativity, encourage engagement and thinking through a student-centred approach. If I can share my perspective on how the project helped the school community, I saw students being supported, being engaged in solving challenging problems involving mathematics. They were able to see mathematics as useful in their worlds. Another way that I hope the project helped the school community was that the co-designed units of work contributed to year level unit planning, and Georgina was really instrumental in supporting those units being used by other teachers on year level, and that really provided a support network for each other in implementing this really ambitious work. So I see further that we were engaging classroom teachers in innovative teaching and research, valuing the work that they do. I hope that it inspired teachers and families within the broader school community to think about how students are building proficiency in mathematics in this classroom. I see a number of important outputs for the school. First of all, being the unit plans, the units of work, which were mathematically focused to support scientific understandings in the year level, across the year level. We also have this wonderful relationship between our STEM professional partner, Judith, as a teacher researcher, and myself. We're working as co-researchers, seeking to improve and better understand mathematical inquiry and mathematical modelling. And really, outputs for the school is to support the mathematical outcomes of their students. We were building a positive disposition to mathematics within the classroom community and within the broader school community. Further outputs involved being invited to the Queensland Association of Maths Teaching Annual Conference to present some of the work on mathematical modelling that we were doing, as well as presenting that work to the broader Australasian community. Let me talk about some of the findings from this research. One of our earlier units of work was in a Year 4 classroom. What is the best ecosystem to keep a dingo healthy? So you can see this had a science focus, and it was supporting a science unit of work, and we were interested in the role mathematics played in that authentic STEM context. I shared some of the findings earlier this year in Sydney at an international math conference, and to showcase the kind of messy data processes that can be explored in the classroom. We were interested in how the students captured and organised ecological data as evidence to inform the design of an ecosystem to support an apex predator, and through this supporting scientific understandings about life and living. The findings presented the ways students could be exposed to statistical processes that are involved in authentic STEM settings, supporting students to develop creative problem-solving approaches and solutions to those problems involving data that extended beyond traditional data types. This work is a little bit of a segue. You'll be thinking this isn't a STEM context, but we were really interested in exploring mathematical modelling as well in the primary classroom. And we wanted to look at the modelling opportunities that presented to Year 4 students when they planned their class party through guided mathematical inquiry. We went to the Gold Coast earlier this year to share with the Mathematics Education Research Group of Australasia some of the insights we gained on the ways that our Year 4 students approached mathematical modelling for the very first time. For ourselves as teacher researchers, this was the first time we'd focused on modelling in the classroom as well, or taught modelling in the classroom. We didn't want to tell the students how to do that. We were looking for their ability to model using an equation to represent the real-life problems they were solving. This also helped us as teachers try to understand what modelling might look like in Year 4, using close scrutiny of achievement standards and language and those content descriptors, because mathematical modelling has mostly lived in the secondary education space due to its abstract nature. You can see here that we work together as co-authors and with other departmental employees, as well as my research assistant, to present this work, challenges for students in one Year 4 classroom. Jude also received a grant. She applied to the Queensland College of Teachers for a grant to attend the conference and was successful, so it meant that Judith was a co-presenter as well, and was really well received at the conference. Due to the success of that conference presentation, we were invited to present at the Queensland Association of Mathematics Teachers State Conference in 2024, which was actually the Teachers' Day at the Merger Conference. And we had about 30 state school teachers in the classroom, and we really showcased what mathematical modelling might look like or how it might unfold in the primary classroom using that classroom party context to do that. I've been asked to talk about any challenges that I might have faced in conducting this research, and I've thought really carefully about this because I can't really think of any challenges that we faced. Ethics was approved in a really timely fashion, and if I had any questions or they had any questions of my research, it was just a phone call away. We had some really good communication between research services and myself to get ethics approved. Once ethics was approved, parents and the school community were really supportive of uptaking this research, so I can't complain about that. I was also really lucky to have an already established network. There was Jude as a classroom teacher who was an inquiry expert, Georgina Allardice as principal who was happy to support the research to take place. We had the STEM professional who we've worked with over the years, and we'd already established that work in STEM with each other. So I can't really think of any challenges that I was faced. Maybe Georgina and Judith could talk to this point. Now, regarding limitations, I'm just going to talk very briefly about limitations to my work because there was so much rich data that I wanted to capture, and I just didn't have enough video cameras and microphones to capture it all. Students in inquiry naturally are supported to work in group work. So while I had one video camera facing the whole classroom, when they broke into groups, I had to quickly switch to or choose one of those groups to focus the camera on. Jude would wear a roving mic on a lapel, and she was able to walk around the room and we could capture that audio. But I really was limited by technological equipment in trying to capture the data I wanted to capture. I did also use an iPad to capture conversations between students in groups. So I was able to put an iPad on the table, ask the students if they were happy for me to leave it there, and I would press video record, but it wouldn't be capturing any video, it would just be capturing their audio. And then as I picked up the iPad, I'd talk about which group it was that was having that discussion and the date and the kind of classroom focus. And I think there's a really good opportunity in my project to do more of this work and to capture some of the diverse student approaches to problem solving that we see supported through a guided mathematical inquiry lens. I get really excited when I think of future directions for this research, and I really hope Judith and Georgina get excited too so that I can continue on this journey with them. We have a lot of data to analyse, but looking forward to exploring that data to look closely at learning innovation in STEM through guided mathematical inquiry involving mathematical modelling. I do hope to extend this research if possible so that we could co-design some new STEM units of work with our STEM professional partner. Statistics and statistical processes seem to be a big focus of the modelling that we do, and so there's also an opportunity to explore informal data science processes in the primary classroom, and this particularly interests me as a future direction for research. So I'd like to thank you all greatly for your time today and for the chance to showcase our research in the primary mathematics classroom. I'm going to pass you over to Jude now so that she can share her perspectives on the research taking place in her classroom. Thanks.
Hi everyone. Can you thumbs up if you can hear me now we're back?
Yep, we can hear you fine. We can't see you
Lovely.
though. Do you want to share your video as well?
No? Maybe the slides?
Or the slides, yeah, either.
Yeah, lovely.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, we
Okay.
can see everything now. Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Fabulous. Yeah, I was just going to start with classroom teacher perspectives. And my motivation, firstly, or most importantly, is that I love doing inquiry, and I really see the value in that. So being part of this research project sort of gives, I suppose it keeps me motivated, but it also, I'm hoping to actually get this pedagogy out there a little bit so people can see what kids can actually do. I'm very excited about, like every inquiry I do, I'm just really excited to see how the level the kids actually get to and how excited they are and how motivated they are. The collaborations with Dr. Kim Fry and Dr. Peter Stone have been going on for many years. I've worked with them for a really long time. And it's very exciting to talk to them as well because I'm an insatiable learner and there's a lot of things I don't know, and it's really great being able to talk to people who are experts, and it's great to bounce ideas before we start, especially now that we've moved a little more into STEM. Kim and I used to team teach years ago, or for a very long time, and Kim took on a lot of the science and I loved the maths. So it was really great to actually try and combine those two. So she's probably swayed me a little bit towards that. I often say I'm a little bit, I really love the research as well because it allows me to go and present and go to conferences, and I can learn as I go along there as well. I'm a bit of a bowerbird. I like to collect ideas, and I've decided I'm more of a bowerbird now than I used to be because I'm a little more swayed towards blue. So I collect blue sort of ideas, which I call more inquiry and positive disposition type stuff. So over my many years of teaching, I've collected lots of ideas and put them all together, and now I'm a little swayed towards inquiry because I can see it's so many benefits. I'm really passionate about trying to get inquiry as a pedagogy out there, and I suppose this is another one of my motivations for actually doing this. Now, how the project has helped the school community is, I think, firstly, it showcases the mathematics that students can actually achieve in inquiries and the levels they can actually reach when we remove the ceiling, and allow them to collaborate and help each other. I'm a collaborator. I like working with like-minded people and people who are cleverer than me, and this is how I will use my classrooms as well. If kids are in ability grouping, then you're removing all that fabulous opportunities to collaborate. So anyway, I diverge. So our last research Kim and I were doing was, I have a lot of other hats. I'm writing guided mathematical inquiries for Ed Queensland at the moment, and after looking at version 9, we both started discussing a lot of modelling. I knew Kim was an expert and I needed to know more information on that. So it was really fabulous having Kim to bounce ideas with and argue with. we'll have a look at our next slide. Oh, wait a minute. How the project's helped the school community. I do a Maths e-news for staff where sort of drip feeding little ideas that teachers can just implement as small tasks in their classroom on a daily or weekly basis. And a lot of our units, as Kim mentioned before, and I think Georgina as well, a lot of our units now have an inquiry focus, not just the maths. Okay, challenges. Again, I didn't have a lot of challenges because we've had these relationships and collaborations for a really long time. Dr. Peter Stone, as we saw in the last slide, he once worked with Kim, and so as she moved on to another role, I adopted him. So that's been really good. Ongoing challenges are mainly at the moment with modelling, and I've discovered that when I was working with teachers at the conference as well, that there are a lot of different interpretations of modelling. So that's something we will continue to investigate, and we'll be learning that as we go. As far as limitations go, I would say that can be really difficult developing those partnerships for other people or teachers. So we already have these partnerships, and I wonder how people would actually start that. And the other limitation is inquiry is a challenging pedagogy, and it's really hard to spread this mindset. These are just some gorgeous little snippets that that kids have just written as I've asked them. And this again, we were looking at, there are so many different things that Kim and I have done. This is one we were just looking at water usage. In our school, we had a real life problem, which was the school was getting really big water bills all of a sudden. And Georgina said, I don't know what's happening. And I said to the kids, well, let's investigate this. So these were just questions that the kids had. I gave them a stimulus picture, and they just jumped on a Padlet and wrote every question they could think of based on some stimulus pictures I gave them about water usage. So it's just endless. That was another thing I was going to say. It's just making maths engaging and exciting for kids and real, and trying to build up sort of positive mathematical dispositions. That's probably what we're trying to do. So thanks. I think that's
Wonderful.
it.
Thank you
if you would
so
like
much.
some questions.
Yeah, so now everybody, we've got some time for Q&A. It's probably best if everybody just pops their questions into chat as opposed to us providing permissions for everybody to speak. So if you've got some questions for any of the members of the team, I'm sure that Georgina and Judith will be able to speak on Kim's behalf to a certain extent as well. Please pop them up in the chat. So we've got one here from John. What was the problem and solution to the water problem?
Well, the problem was we got a utilities bill and it was substantially higher than the previous quarter. And so I'm not quite sure how we came to talk about that, but
that last image.
Jude said that might be something that the class can look up. We had some wonderings, we call them wonderings. We had a few wonderings about what might be causing it, and so the students, it was then became that guided inquiry for them.
But did you actually find the problem? We didn't actually find the problem for you. We realised that people were using a lot of water, and there are a lot of taps that were dripping that shouldn't have been. So we got those fixed.
And we have another question here from one of our research team members. What were the broader aims of the mathematical modelling process, and what were the perceived and actual benefits for primary school students?
Well, the main reason is that mathematical modelling features really heavily in the version 9 curriculum. And our biggest question was, what Kim and I were trying to work out was the Year 4 achievement standard was talking about mathematical modelling using equations or to demonstrate mathematical modelling. And this sort of challenged me a little bit, because I think there are so many different ways to actually model and, do mathematical modelling. And also, I think high school has had a very different, or secondary has had a different perspective on mathematical modelling. And it was really hard to find a real definition of what that meant. So I thought, if students have to do mathematical modelling in primary school, and I'm writing inquiries and I'm writing maths lessons for Ed Queensland, I actually need to have a look at what this is going to look like. So I had the benefit of being able to trial that in my own classroom with Kim, who's a mathematical modelling expert. And then when we took it off to Murga and spoke to a lot of other people who are mathematical modelling experts, we got some fabulous feedback there as well. And they agreed that it was very limiting, the content descriptor talking about using calculations, because it's not always appropriate. But the kids really, really struggled to actually model or to create an equation based on real life problems. And so that's why I'm saying they need more opportunities to actually do that. So,
which comes back to the whole reason why. The why was that we identified that students required more immersion with critical and creative thinking components of the curriculum, and the ability to think outside the box.
That's right. And the high schools now have the PSMT assessments that they're doing.
Yes.
And if we can start this in primary schools, and these kids are familiar with it, and they're comfortable and they're ready to take risks and be challenged, and they have the perseverance and to be able to keep going when they totally get everything wrong and have to start again, then that's going to be really helpful.
Much better for them.
Absolutely.
Now, we have a question about whether your researcher, I assume that's talking about Kim, whether she actually interacted with the students, or whether she was performing more of a mentor and collaborative role while you were doing the...
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I'm seeing that that's our scientist. Did your scientists interact with the students?
Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Peter Stone, what we would do, he was a CSIRO resident scientist in schools. Now he's moved on to other things, but it started with always, I would look at the science content and the maths content, and then we'd contact him and we'd get together and we'd sit there and discuss what maths and science linked beautifully here, and we'd come up with an inquiry from that. And he would come into our classroom. He had different roles. Sometimes he'd come in and explain the science. Sometimes he came in with a problem and would say, I'm really interested in a solution for this problem. For example, our passion fruit vines and things. And he then would come in and the kids could share their research with him and ask him any questions. They also we would send him emails. If I'd say, well, that's a Dr. Stone question, and I'd send that off to him. But yes, he was actually coming into the classroom tomorrow, but he can't. So we'd see him probably once a term in the classroom. The kids all know him, and they know in science, maths, that or mainly science. If they have a Peter Stone question, a Dr. Stone question, then I'll just send it off to him. So
so another added benefit.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Any other questions from the audience? No, I think that might be it then. Well, we just want to thank you both so very much for coming today, and thank all of the attendees for coming as well. It was really fascinating to hear what you've been doing in an actual school environment that actually produces credible and real impact for our students to improve their outcomes. So thank you so much for joining us. And just for everybody's information, we do have the little, one-page overview that Georgina and Judith and Kim have prepared so that you have something to take away. And we hope that has all proven very useful for you, and that you will join us for some of the ongoing sessions here today, and if not, in future webinars and research forums that we conduct. The whole purpose is to get the research that we are approving in Queensland schools out to the people who need it most.
Awesome.
Thank you.